Today we're going to learn about syntax. Syntax is, we'll define what it is, identify types of sentences and sentence structures, and talk about the effect of sentence structure on style. Syntax, simply put, is the arrangement of words to express thoughts. As you'll see here, I have several sentences that say pretty much the same thing, but I have arranged words in different ways to give certain things emphasis, either the person who's going to the store, the time I'm going to the store, the way I'm going to the store, and so on and so forth. Arrangement is just exactly the way you construct the sentence, which words you want to put in what order. There are different types of sentences that you probably already know. The declarative sentence, I am here, you see that with a period. Exclamatory, I am here, with an exclamation point. Interrogative, are you here, with a question mark. And imperative is the command, Victoria, come here, and these usually end with an exclamation point as well. Types of sentences. There are 4 types that you need to identify. The simple sentence, which is one independent clause only. An independent clause means that there is one subject and one verb and then an object. I walked the dog. A simple sentence could also just be I walked. A compound sentence is when you combine 2 or more simple sentences or 2 or more independent clauses together. You'll usually notice that a compound sentence will have a conjunction with a comma in front. I walked the dog, simple sentence, comma, and I went to the park, another simple sentence. A complex sentence is a combination of an independent and a dependent clause, or maybe more than one dependent clause. You know a dependent clause because it cannot stand on its own. It's usually an adjective phrase or an adverb phrase. For instance, after breakfast. If I just said that, you would wonder what happened after breakfast. It can't stand alone. So after breakfast is my dependent clause, comma, I walked the dog, my independent clause. Then I have compound complex, which is a combination of compound and complex sentences. In this example, as I ate my breakfast, that's a dependent clause because I don't know what happened as I ate my breakfast. The dog whined to go outside, that's an independent clause, and the cat sat on my lap, that's another independent clause. So this has 1 dependent and 2 independent. It becomes a compound complex sentence. We'll go over more examples of these in live class. Now, in arrangement there are what are called loose sentences, cumulative sentences. You'll probably be asked to identify one of these on the AP exam. This is a sentence where you complete the main idea at the beginning of a sentence and then kind of ramble on afterwards. So my example here is education has no equal. That's the main idea. And then you have in opening mind, instilling values, and creating opportunities. That's just kind of like the fluff at the end of a sentence. It's good for setting a scene. As you can see in picture, like I'm focusing on this kid up front, not so much on the kids in the back. Periodic sentences are the opposite, where I'm going to put my main idea at the back of the sentence. I'm going to focus on the kids in the back of the picture and not so much on the kid in the front. That one's blurry. An example in the poetry is here, out of the bosom of the air, out of the cloud folds of the garment is shaken, over the woodlands brown and bare, over the harvest fields forsaken, soft and silent, soft and slow, descends the snow. That's our main idea at the end. So periodic is main idea at the end. Cumulative or loose sentences are main idea at the beginning. Then you have balanced sentences, which are sentences made up of 2 parts that are equal in length, importance, grammatical structure. It's a paired construction. So my example is sleeping on a ceiling is like sleeping on a cloud. The front part and the back part are pretty balanced. The arrangement is about the same. A balanced sentence that makes a contrast is called an antithesis. This is an example of love is an ideal thing, marriage is a real thing. Now, both in arrangement, the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence are balanced. However, what is being said in the beginning of the sentence is contrasting with what's being said in the back of the sentence. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. You'll see the live together, perish together, as brothers, as fools. So those constructions are balanced, but they say opposite things. So that becomes an antithesis. Another way to think of it is this. Cumulative sentences are top-heavy. Important details are up front. Balanced means its beginning and end are equal. And periodic means it's end-heavy. Important details are in the back. You also have inversions. Sometimes we like to rearrange sentences so that certain things are emphasized, as we said before. So some common inversions are subject and verb. Across the living room, dashed my tabby. We have, normally you would say, across the living room, my tabby dashed. So I have inverted the subject and verb. Subject, verb, direct object reversal. So sometimes I want to put, normally we would say, I can't handle flattery, I can understand force. The object of the sentence usually comes at the end. And in this inversion, I put it up front because I want to give emphasis. Flattery, I can't handle. Force, I can understand. It even sounds better, doesn't it? Adverb plus split verb order. So sometimes I normally would put an adverb after. He did sign that document very deliberately. But I really want to emphasize this deliberately part, so I'm going to put very deliberately did he sign that document with full knowledge of who would read it. So I would put the adverb out of place. So these are 3 common inversions that you'll come across, and again, we'll practice more of these in live class. Juxtaposition is kind of like the same concept of antithesis. You place 2 or more things, usually abstract concepts, near each other to impose a meaning. So in this picture, I put a little, big wheels and a tank next to one another. I'm juxtaposing these 2 very different images to make a point or to convey an idea. So when you see 2 different things put together, it's usually, like antithesis, is juxtaposing 2 different ideas or thoughts to make an impact. The final kind that we're going to look at is parallelism. This is a similarity of structure in a pair or series of related words, phrases, or clauses. So you can have parallelism of words, which means I'm trying to string together some adjectives here in this one. She tried to make her pastry fluffy, sweet, and delicate. I'm paralleling words. Paralleling a phrasing, singing a song or writing a poem is joyous. So the singing of a song, writing of a poem, I'm giving you 2, trying to make a series of phrases. Or sometimes you can do it with clauses. Perch are inexpensive, cod are cheap, trout are abundant, but salmon are best. Notice that I'm balancing them. Parallelism is all about balance of words, phrases, and clauses. Why might a writer use this syntactical structure? We'll talk about that more in class. Another type of parallelism is called the TRICOLON, which is a series of 3. It really makes you sound smart. I've given you examples of how in one news report they've used tricolon 3 times in one long sentence. This is a critical time for leadership. The American people can trust. Leadership that will not conceal what can be explained and justified. Leadership that will hold our liberties sacred but understand our freedoms. So again, they're doing a parallelism of this leadership. So you're doing some clauses. Enduring through civil turmoil, hardship, and war. There's a parallelism tricolon of words. We will be at risk as never before if the American people conclude in the wake of another catastrophe that their safety has come second to bureaucratic inertia, political expediency, and partisanship. Again, that's a tricolon of words. When you see very long sentences, you're going to think about how the author is trying to maybe replicate the physical movement of a character, or maybe try to confuse or simulate some rapid flow of ideas or emotions. Maybe they're trying to sound a little smarter too. making it seem enormous or weighty or extensive. When you see very short sentences, the author is usually trying to stress a key idea. It's something that they don't want you to forget. Or maybe short sentences are a way to sound more objective or factual. You don't want to cloud your main ideas with a lot of extra information. Maybe short sentences also can convey a mood like anxiety or quickening a pace. Or maybe it contrasts with longer, more complex ideas. When you see parallelism, think about if the author is trying to stress the sheer number of things. If they're trying to create rhythm, force, and power, you'll see this a lot in Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, as well as stir emotion. Repetition of keywords or phrases is always to stress a key idea, and sometimes to convey emotion, such as anger or bitterness or joy. We will talk more about this in live class, so please join me for that at that time. Have a great day.